Hello, church family, and happy Friday. I have a couple of updates that I wanted to send you by way of this video update. The first concerns something that has been happening not in our diocese, but in another ACNA diocese, the Diocese of the Upper Midwest. There have been multiple reports of sexual abuse involving both children and adults happening over a long period of time, committed by a lay catechist in one of the churches in the diocese. And along with that, there have been multiple instances of these victims being mistreated and these reports of abuse being mishandled by the diocesan leadership. So this is obviously a very big deal, something that we've been tracking very closely and something that we're taking extremely seriously. The bishop of that diocese, Bishop Stuart Ruck, has requested a leave of absence and has stepped down so that the investigation can proceed without him, because it involves him. And the province has at this time stepped in. They have formed a provincial response team, and the job of that team is to oversee and implement an independent investigation by a third-party agency. If you want to know more about the details of that response team, you can go to the ACNA website, which is anglicanchurch.net, and there'll be a link right there on the landing page for this response team to get the latest updates. Along with this, a number of volunteers from around the ACNA, along with a number of the abuse survivors who felt that they were not given a safe and clear opportunity to be heard to report the abuse, which is part of the mishandling of the situation. They have formed a website called ACNA2. That's ACNATOO. And you can Google that to find the actual website link. And that's a place where survivors have an opportunity to post their stories. And you can see much more about why they felt the need to do that and what their hopes are for the future of the ACNA. Why do I want you to know about this? Number one, because Scripture calls us to walk in the light and to conduct ourselves in a manner worthy of the gospel of Jesus Christ. And what we know is that sin festers in the darkness, and that's not just true for individual sin, but systemic sin. And this is an example of a kind of systemic sin. And we recognize that because of that, because of the nature of sin, this kind of thing is only worsened by hiding it and not talking about it. And what we realize is that preventing abuse in the church is everyone's job. And caring for survivors is everyone's job. And so the more we're willing to address this head on, the more we're willing to talk about it, even if it's hard and uncomfortable, the more we can know and learn from this, the better equipped we will be to prevent anything like this from happening in the future, which is really the goal. So that's the first reason. The second reason I want you to know about it is because I wanted to let you know and assure you that we at Advent have our policies in place, our child protection policies and abuse policies, protection policies in place. But as soon as I heard about this, I reached out to our bishop, and our diocese and our bishop, their leadership team feels the need, and I fully agree, to do a comprehensive review of all of our policies at the diocesan level. Those policies will affect and become the policies of every church in our diocese. And this review is to ensure that number one, our policies are doing everything we can to prevent this kind of thing from happening at all. But number two, to make sure that we have trauma-informed policies and policies that provide for and prioritize care and support for victims, as well as providing a clear, safe pathway for people to come forward and report abuse. And so that is happening, and those policies, all of that will go into effect for all of the churches at the completion of that process in our diocese. And then the third reason I want you to know about this is simply so that you can pray for everyone involved. This is absolutely awful. It is heartbreaking. And so I just ask that you would pray. I ask that you would pray in particular for their survivors and their families. And I ask that you would pray for everyone involved, that this would be a time of bringing all of this into the light, and that our churches would emerge stronger for it. It's tragic and heartbreaking, and so we just need to pray. It's a sobering reminder that no institution is immune from this kind of thing. So that's the first update, the Diocese of the Upper Midwest, and I just ask that you pray for that. The second thing, I sent an email about this, so I won't say much about it in this video update, but we have been tracking the Montgomery County mask guidelines, and as of tomorrow, those guidelines are saying that everyone over the age of 2, regardless of vaccination status, must wear a mask while indoors. And so beginning this Sunday, we will be requiring masks for everyone over the age of 2 while indoors in our church. The only exception in the regulation is made for those who are speaking or leading from up front, as long as there's 6 feet of distance. So our worship leaders, people leading in the worship, including me, will take our masks off up front, but everyone else will be masked in the building. Of course, when kids go outside and things like that, the masks can come off, but while we're in the building, we'll be wearing masks. So I hope these updates find you well, and as hard as these topics are, I do hope that this will just be an inspiration and a challenge for you to spend some time in prayer today and through the weekend. I love you very much. I spent some time praying for you this weekend, and I very much look forward to worshiping with you this Sunday. Blessings.